Some moments in entertainment don't just stay on screen, they follow you home. They play in your head when you're trying to sleep. They hit you right in the chest when you least expect it. Today, we're talking about those moments. The ones that made fans break down, grab the nearest pillow, and just let it out. No shame. Because if you cried for a reason, and every single one of these moments earned those tears. When a beloved character said goodbye forever. Nothing prepares you for the death of a character you've grown up with or spent years loving. Fans don't just lose a fictional person, they lose a companion. When shows or movies kill off a main character who's been there since the beginning, it feels like a real goodbye. Think about how fans reacted when they watched their favorite hero sacrifice themselves with no way back. No last-minute rescue, no surprise return, just gone. The silence after those scenes is the loudest thing you'll ever hear. People have talked about sitting completely still for minutes after the screen went dark, not because they didn't know what to do, but because moving felt wrong. The grief was real, the tears were real. And the reason it hits that hard is because good storytelling makes you forget you're watching fiction. You believed in that character, you rooted for them, and when they left, a piece of your heart went with them. That's not weakness, that's what great writing and great performances do to people. The reunion scene that nobody saw coming. Sometimes it's not death that makes fans cry, it's the opposite. It's two people finding each other again after years of being apart, a parent and a child, two old friends, two people who never got to say what they needed to say. When these reunion scenes are done right, they don't need dramatic music or long speeches. A look, a hug that lasts a second too long, a shaky voice saying a name. That's all it takes. Fans have described watching reunion scenes and feeling a flood of emotions they didn't even know they were holding. It's because on some level, those scenes echo something personal. Everyone knows what it feels like to miss someone. Everyone understands the weight of a relationship that almost didn't survive. When a story mirrors that pain and then gives you relief, gives you the moment where things are finally okay, the emotional release is overwhelming. Comment sections fill up fast after these scenes. People write paragraphs about their own experiences. That's what these moments do. They don't just make you feel for the characters, they make you feel for yourself. The scene where a child's innocence was broken. There is a specific kind of pain that comes from watching a child in a story face something no child should ever have to face. When a young character loses someone they love, when they finally understand that the world isn't safe, when they have to grow up in the worst possible way, it destroys audiences. Fans find themselves crying not just for the character, but for every version of childhood that gets taken too soon. These scenes are powerful because they remind us of something universal. Innocence is fragile. The moment it breaks is something that can't be undone. Writers who understand this use it carefully, and when they get it right, the impact is enormous. People remember exactly where they were sitting, who was in the room, what time it was when they saw that scene. It becomes a memory because it felt that significant. The child on screen becomes every child, and for a moment, the audience carries that grief like it belongs to them. When the story finally said what no one could say out loud. Some of the most tear-inducing moments in storytelling aren't about explosions or dramatic deaths. They're about truth. A character finally saying the thing they've been holding back for years. A relationship that gets acknowledged after an entire story of almost. A person who's been invisible their whole life finally being seen by someone who matters. These moments hit different kinds of fans in different ways, but the common thread is recognition. Viewers see themselves in those scenes. They see their own struggles, their own relationships, their own fears being reflected back. When a story finally says the thing out loud, the thing that's been hovering in the background for seasons, or for the entire runtime of a film, the emotional release is massive. Fans describe feeling relieved, like something they'd been quietly hoping for finally arrived. Tears in those moments aren't sad tears, they're complicated. They're grateful and exhausted and relieved all at once. And they leave audiences feeling understood in a way that's hard to put into words. The flashback that changed everything you thought you knew. There is a storytelling trick that works every single time it's done well, and that trick is the recontextualization flashback. You watch an entire story thinking you understand a character, you have an opinion of them, you know their deal. And then the story shows you a moment from their past, something quiet and small and devastating, and suddenly everything shifts. You understand why they are the way they are, you feel for them in a way you didn't before, maybe you even feel guilty for judging them. These flashback moments tend to make fans cry because they combine surprise with empathy. You weren't expecting to care that much. And then suddenly, you do. Intensely. The story gave you new information and your heart adjusted instantly. Fans talk about these scenes for a long time after. They become part of how people describe a piece of media, the one with the flashback that broke everyone. Because that's exactly what it does. It breaks you open just enough to let something real in. The sacrifice that was never asked for but given anyway. A forced sacrifice is sad, but a sacrifice that a character chooses quietly, without being told to, without anyone else even fully understanding what they gave up, that is something else entirely. These are the moments that make fans completely fall apart. When a character decides on their own that someone else's life or happiness is worth more than their own comfort or future, and they do it without making it a big moment, without expecting a thank you, the audience feels it on a level that goes beyond the story. It touches something about what people wish they saw more of in real life. Selflessness that isn't performed. Love that doesn't need recognition. Fans who've watched these scenes describe a delayed reaction where the realization of what just happened hits them a few seconds later, and then the tears come all at once. These sacrifices feel sacred in a way. They remind people of the best of what humans can be. And crying at them feels like the right response, like the only honest way to honor what the character did. The ending that was both beautiful and heartbreaking. Some endings give you everything you wanted and still leave you wrecked. The story wrapped up. The characters found peace. The journey is over, and fans sit there with tears running down their face because it's done. Because they have to leave this world now. Because saying goodbye to a story that meant something to you is genuinely hard. These endings are some of the most talked about moments in fandom culture. The bittersweet farewell that leaves everyone quiet. The final frame that says everything without saying a word. The last piece of music that plays over credits while people try to remember how to breathe. Great endings make you grieve the experience itself. The fact that a story can make you cry is a gift, not a weakness. It means something got through. It means the people who made it did their job so well that your heart responded without asking your brain for permission. Every moment on this list earned its tears. Every fan who cried at these scenes was responding to something true. If you've got a moment that wrecked you, a scene, a line, a look between two characters, drop it in the comments. Let's talk about it. Because the best part of loving a story is finding the people who loved it just as hard as you did. Don't forget to like this video if it hit home, subscribe if you're new here, and I'll see you in the